I currently have a pretty average number of physical TBR books, but that doesn't mean some of these books haven't been on the shelf longer than necessary. So my mission, should I choose to accept it, my mission, should I choose to accept it, girl, get out of that chair. My mission, now that I have accepted it, is to eliminate the books on the shelf one by one until this shelf is completely Yes.
I know you're about to say something really ambitious, but could you aim for a little less delusion for my sake, please?
I swear, readers these days. We're going to eliminate the books on the shelf until it is half empty. That's 3 shelves, stop counting. At the beginning of each month's episode, I'll use a random number generator to select the book that will be read. The hope is that the first book I pick will be the one to start off that episode. However, I will be allowing myself 2 chances to maneuver around the shelf in the hopes of finding that first book to read. I'm so excited, yeah, that's convincing enough, to get some of these physical books cleared off of this TBR shelf, so get ready to read or reap.
So we have 1 to 110. Let's see what book I'm going to start off with. 17, which is the top shelf. So let me see what book 17 is. That book was Two Nights in Lisbon by Chris Pavoni, which is not a book that I am all excited to start episode 5 of Read or Reap with. And luckily, the tag on this says read the book directly below. So let me find out what the book directly below it is. Okay, that's a little bit better. This one is Lost, Found, and Forever by Victoria Shade, which I think is a contemporary romance. I did pick this up in the romance section, so I'm assuming it's a romance. I think there's a dog involved. That's all I really know. I bought this at Barnes & Noble a couple years ago. I read the synopsis then, but aside from that, don't really have any ideas about it. The tag on this says 15 books next, but I think I am going to start with this book. I hope that this breaks the streak of the first book in a Read or Reap episode being complete shit. Because if you have been following along with my Read or Reap series, you will know that I have not had the best luck with the books that start the episode. So I hope this is at least a 3 stars. I finally managed to sit down and make some progress in Lost, Found, and Forever by Victoria Shade. So I am about 100 pages into this. I'm right there, so about a third of the way through it. And so far, I'm liking it. I'm not like loving it, but it is one that while I'm reading it, it's keeping my attention. If I just sit down and focus on reading it, I can get through like 50, 75 pages really quickly. It's not one where I set it down and I just cannot wait to pick it up again. I've been reading this for about a week and I read those 100 pages in about, I don't know, 2-3 hours. So I'm just not inclined to pick it up, but when I do pick it up, I'm there, I'm engaged with it. So in this, we're following this woman named Justine, who is a pet store owner in New York, and she is having a hard financial time with it. She's trying to keep it afloat. She's trying to pay her one employee. She's trying to find ways to keep her vendors paid and things like that, and she's just really struggling. She doesn't know how much longer she's going to be able to do this. And one day she is out at this local restaurant with her dog Spencer, who she adopted, and she's been teaching him some really fun tricks. So there is this group of people who notices Spencer doing these tricks, and one of them happens to be a famous movie producer. And he asks Justine if she thinks that she could train him to do things that he needs a dog to do in his upcoming TV show. She looks at the script, she thinks Spencer can do this, so she agrees to go on an audition, and she thinks this is the way to get her out of the debt that she is in. However, on that same day, one of her friends shows her a Facebook post of a man who is looking for his lost dog, and that lost dog ends up being Spencer. So she's in this moral conundrum of, does she reach out to this man and let him know that this dog, who he has obviously been looking for and lost over a year ago is well and okay? Or does she just forget about it, move on with her life, get Spencer in this movie, and take care of her financial debts? I'm really liking seeing the relationship between this woman, Justine, and Spencer. I'm also interested to see where it goes, if a romance maybe brews between the man who lost his dog and Justine, or if she tells him at all. So that's the update, and I will probably give you my final thoughts once I finish it. I just got off of hosting reading sprints with my coven girls, and I was able to finish reading Lost, Found, and Forever. So when I told you that when I'm in reading this, I read it really quickly, I'm not lying, because where I left off with you last time was where I was when I started reading sprints, reading this book. I had like, I don't know, 2/3 of it to go, and I managed to finish it on those reading sprints. So I am happy to say that this broke the first book in a Read or Reap episode being complete shit, because I ended up giving this a solid 4 stars. I really liked this like dog parent romance. I thought it was a super cute idea. That's not something that I've read a lot of in books. They were sort of strangers who ended up co-parenting this dog. I really thought seeing like a dog actor's day on set was fascinating. I don't know if the author like researched into that or anything like that. I'm assuming she would have had to, because it felt like she knew what she was talking about. I didn't read like the author's note or anything like that, so I don't know. But it was interesting to see that perspective. I liked the dog. I thought he was really cute. This was not the dog I kept imagining, though. I feel like this is probably close to what the dog was described as in the book. I had to go back and see like how it was described. It didn't really give like a color as to what the dog was, but it said like a fox terrier, which I'm assuming is what this dog is. But for some reason, I just kept picturing a golden retriever. That's all I could imagine. This had one of my favorite tropes in it, which is only one bed. This had only one tiny bed. But it was in there. I liked the relationship progression between these two. It felt very natural. The dog does live. It doesn't die at the end of the book, which I really appreciated as well. And this was just like a cute, almost Hallmark movie type of romance. I will say another perk to this is that there is no like stupid miscommunication trope. There could have easily been one, but the two characters talk through the thing that leads to what could be a third act breakup, and they really talk to one another about it, and what's more important is they believe each other about it. There's just none of this like, oh my god, you've been lying to me, blah blah blah, let me break up for some stupid reason. They were very mature about what they expected within their relationship and what they were willing to put into their relationship. So that was really, really nice to see as well. So all in all, I ended up liking this one. It was a really cute romance. It had like some cute perspectives that I haven't read in a romance before. And it's also a low spice romance. So if you are looking for a low spice romance, I think you should definitely check this out. It had one closed door sex scene. The most graphic word that was used was nipple. So that was it. They had decent chemistry. I wouldn't say it was out of this world or anything, but they were a cute couple together. I really liked that this book didn't have a cartoon cover on it. One that I do think I will be keeping on my shelf because I really enjoyed this one. Now, I do not know how many books are on this shelf at current, and it doesn't really matter because the next book I am just going to pick to read is one that I want to read this month. I am just going to read The Silent Sun by Alexis Menard, which is the second book in this series. I read the first book in last episode of Read or Reap, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. So I'm going to start this one. It's thicker than the first book, but I'm hoping that I get through it really quickly like I did the first book because I got so invested in the characters and the plot of it. So maybe I'll give you some thoughts when I'm in the middle of it. Who knows? We'll see.
Except for the other one, the popular books on the side of the plant store on the right.
Oh, look at that one. People are so crafty. Oh, is that Lego?
Yes.
That's pretty.
That's crazy. But I was like, Jack Rose is really good. I was like, I know, book two.
Oh, hey, this book was on my wish list.
There you go.
It's based on Egyptian mythology. I figured I would give you an update on The Silent Sun before I actually finish this book, and I'm going to give it to you while I'm pulling laundry out of the dryer. 2 birds, 1 stone and all that. So I'm about halfway through at this point, and to be honest, it has taken me a while to get this far. Like, I've been reading this for a good week and a half at this point. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I wasn't really loving how it started out. If you watched my last Read or Reap episode, you will know that I was totally obsessed with the first book, okay? I loved it. And I said that you could potentially read that as a standalone if you didn't read the epilogue. I feel like it ended in a good place to be a standalone. But I wanted to continue on. I wanted to see where else these characters' stories went. And in the beginning of this, the characters, something happened to the characters, or the characters did something that I'm not a big fan of in books. Because of that, I spent the first 50% of this book just dreading what was going to happen to these characters and really telling myself, do I really want to read this if this is how this story is going to continue going? Because I wasn't loving the direction that it went. This one, we do get a lot more POVs from characters that we met in the first book, which was a nice added touch. I like seeing that dynamic added to a story. And I am happy to report that, like, a little less than halfway through this book, something happened that made me more interested in the story. So now I just want to sit down and I want to finish this book, because it ended up not taking that predictable route, or I hope that it's not taking that predictable route that I had expected it to go. So this could turn out to be anywhere from like a 3-star to a 5-star. I don't know how this book is going to end, and my rating is really going to be determined on how it plays out in the latter half of this book. So that's my update on The Silent Sun. This episode of Read or Reap, I am not getting a lot of books knocked off my shelf. Like, I have been reading other books in the background that aren't part of this episode that have gotten books off my shelf, but as for this episode of Read or Reap, this is only the 2nd book I'm on. So I'll give you my thoughts on this once I've finished it, and we'll see if it stayed on that predictable path or if it went how I wanted it to go. Okay, it is 9:30 at night, past my bedtime. I am up past my bedtime, but I finished reading The Silent Sun. So when I tell you that it took me about a week and a half to get through the first 50% of this because I wasn't liking the direction that it was going, it took me like, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours to get through the latter half. Because once I knew that this story wasn't going to go in the way that I was dreading, I was totally hooked and invested, and I couldn't wait to finish it. So I gave this 5 stars, just like I gave the first one. Even with that first half really irritating me, I still ended up absolutely loving this. The Norse mythology within the story is so well thought out, so well fleshed out. Like, I don't even know if some of the stuff that the author included in here is true to Norse mythology, but if it's not, you could have fooled me, because that's how well it was. Like, there were characters in here that I knew, there were characters in here that I haven't ever heard of, and it just played out so well. The title makes sense to me now. I'm not going to tell you how, but it does. I just love how much Volley loves Ilsa.
And in the beginning, it was kind of irritating because the story kind of went with like this jealousy trope that I was like, really? We're going to go down this route? But in the end, the things that he was willing to do so that she could live free and happy. There are 2 like actual smut scenes within here. And they're, you know, pretty female forward. Ilsa is a character who's very in tune with her sexuality, and she is very much the instigator of their sexual activities. Like, if you want a fantasy romance with the world building, this series is it, babe, because it's got it. It's so well thought out and so well fleshed out. If you're like someone like me who likes the mythology inspired fantasy romance, this is so freaking good. And I just don't understand why more people don't know about this series and aren't talking about this series, because it's freaking amazing. These characters are amazing. The world is amazing. The mythology is amazing. It's just so good. So 5 stars. Another win in this Reader-Oop episode. I finished out a duology. I will be recommending this series any chance I get. But now it is time to pick a new book for me to read. There are 108 books on this shelf now. So let me ask Alexa to pick me a random number and we'll see what book I end up reading next. Alexa, can you pick me a number between 1 and 108?
This might answer your question. Here's a number between 1 and 108. It's 92.
92. Okay. Let me figure out what 92 is. Okay, 92 ended up being this book called REFERRAL, which I actually wouldn't mind reading. This is a book I picked up at a Polycon last year, but the tag on this says the next book. So let me see what the next book on the shelf is, and hopefully that's one that I want to read. Like, I wouldn't mind reading this, and technically I could read this because, you know, it's my game. I can do what I want, but I'm going to see what the next book is, and hopefully it's one I also want to read. Okay, so that one ended up being The Somber Prince by Marina Simcoe, which is a book that I actually wouldn't mind reading either. Now, the note on that said last book on the 3rd shelf, but that's a book that I just recently added, so I don't really want to read it at this point. So I think I am going to read The Somber Prince, which unfortunately for me, I don't think has an audiobook available for it. So once again, this is going to have to be a book that I read with my eyeballs. This is just turning out to be the Reader-Oop episode where I have to read everything physically. It's a decent-sized book. I do love Marina Simcoe's stories, as I'm sure you know if you've paid attention to anything I've ever shared. But this is one that I have not read. This is a series I have not started. I also picked this up at a Polycon last year when I met her, and I really like this cover. So I don't know really what this one is about, quite honestly. I can't remember the synopsis of it, so I'm just going to go in blind. So this will be the next book that I give you an update on. I'm concocting some sort of chicken pasta salad for dinner tonight. So I got my pasta going. I'm gonna make a dill reduction sauce. Fancy. And I have chicken already done in the oven, and then greens that I picked from the garden. We had lettuce in the garden, some sage, I picked some basil, and I picked some marigold leaves as well to throw in there. And then I just chopped up some mini peppers for color.
I am currently on reading sprints with Jackie and Laura, and I thought I'd give you an update on Somber Prince. I'm about 100 pages in, so about a third of the way through. And this is a fantasy romance that is loosely connected to Marina Simcoe's like River of Mist series. It takes place in the same world than Neferir? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's loosely connected. This is set in the Shadow Fae realm in the Under, where it's pretty much like this dark desert. And this kingdom is full of these shadow people who have, over the years, learned how to become like physical beings. But it's called the Joyless Kingdom because they cannot feel joy, they cannot feel pleasure. So they don't know what that's like. Like, they can eat stuff and they can hear stuff and they can see stuff, but they derive no joy and pleasure from it. And at the beginning of this book, our main character Dawn was a young girl, and her cousin was having nightmares, and she kept talking about this black smoke, and nobody believed her. But Dawn saw this black smoke one day take her cousin, and her cousin disappeared, and people couldn't figure out where she went. Well, fast forward quite a few years, and Dawn is now an adult, and they're in the basement of their house where her cousin was taken from, and it happens again. And her cousin, and her sister are taken. Her father is killed, and they are taken to this realm of shadow people. And they are essentially known as joy vessels. And so when these humans show up, they are fitted with like these harnesses that like wrap around their arms and sort of like seep into their skin, and like it goes like a vest sort of almost, and they have these little like medallion things on them that these shadow people, they have these tendrils. Like, I don't know if you can see on here, but he's got like these tendrils on him. Well, those are like smoke tendrils. And so in order to experience joy, they have to sort of lock into these medallions on this harness that the humans are fitted with to experience what the humans are experiencing as far as joy and pleasure goes. And while they are captured, they really want to give the humans the best life that they know how to give to bring them joy. Like, they want them to experience joy because having these humans joy is the only way they experience joy. It's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I'll tell you that. It's a weird scenario, but that's what Marina Simcoe does really well. She comes up with really weird, unique ideas for fantasy romance, I will tell you that. So Dawn at this point has caught the eye of the prince of this kingdom, Prince Ra, and he doesn't understand why he's drawn to her, because at the time he hasn't like tasted her joy yet, because he can only do it if she's willing. He can't like attach himself to her harness unwillingly, because then she wouldn't be experiencing joy. It has to be a consensual thing. And he has not done this yet, but he doesn't understand why he's so like enamored with her when he hasn't tasted her joy yet. And so he's like asking her what she likes to eat, what she likes to do. He's trying to please her the best way he knows how, so that she will be willing to like share her joy with him. And they're just getting to know each other. So that's as far as I got. It's, like I said, interesting. I'm not super invested with the characters yet, but I did read that 100 pages really quickly. And I like the unique worlds that Marina constructs. So we'll see what happens in the latter 2/3 of this book. I'm sure I'll probably give you an update once I've completely finished it. Where are we at, Lori? Duke's Farm? Duke Farms. Bike riding through Duke Farms. Duke. That's what I said.
Unlike the one in Rhode Island and Shangri-La in Hawaii.
Damn, Meg, you're just a fountain of information.
You didn't know you were going to be on a history lesson.
I didn't know.
I'm trying not to.
Trying to ride a bike and vlog at the same time. That's skill right there.
Want to walk over the bridge?
Walk over the bridge at least.
Okay.
pink champagne. I'm totally vibing. It's true what they say. It's all about timing. I'm doing okay. For the first time in a while, can't help but love my style. Just caught in the feeling. So much glitter, you can't forget her. A superstar, like ooh. We just get better, our dreams get bigger, and we won't stop. Like ooh. Hey, you've come this far, so dance till the sunrise and throw the confetti. Like, hey, you know who you are, so dance till the sunrise.
Great time. Good. We had a great guide. Thanks, Meg.
Yeah, thanks for coming, ladies.
Best tour guide ever. I finished reading Somber Prince, and I think I'm going to give this a solid 4 stars. So while this isn't my favorite Marina Simcoe book, I really did enjoy it, and when I was reading it, I read it rather quickly. This had some imaginative smut in it with some imaginative anatomy in it. I think I may have read like some sort of anatomy like this one other time in an alien romance, but I haven't read it like in a fantasy romance sense. So that was interesting. I think I laughed out loud at one point because of the ridiculousness of it. So if you're somebody who likes your imaginative, fun smut, maybe give this a try. This does have like a shadow daddy in it to some extent. It doesn't have a lot of spice to it. I would say maybe 2 chili peppers worth of smut. And they are, I wouldn't say this is a slow burn, because it does, you know, they get into the attractiveness and the sexual activities before 50% at least. But I liked the character growth in here, and I liked seeing this world where the fae creatures, while they could like experience things like contentment and anger, they couldn't experience joy. They couldn't experience pleasure, and so they had to take it from other people. So they're sort of like a vampire of sense. Instead of sucking blood, they suck joy. Well, they don't really suck it out of the people because they're not like taking it from the people. They're just experiencing it with them. They use their little tendrils to plug into their harnesses that they have on them, and they get to experience what other people are experiencing. So they're not like depleting them of their joy. They're just experiencing it. So this was another, like I said, unique fantasy romance within Marina Simcoe's fantasy romances that she writes. My only problem with this is I didn't feel a strong connection to the characters themselves. I didn't really feel like any sort of strong emotion when they were together. I think because it was so sudden and she was sort of forced into this position, you know, she's a captive type dynamic. I didn't feel the strongest chemistry with them. Also, this girl's sister is a complete bitch. I mean, she was just awful. The way she talked to her sister is just awful. So I enjoyed this. I think I will keep it. Which means so far in Read or Reap of this episode anyway, I have enjoyed all the books so far. So let me jinx it. I'm going to attempt to try and get at least one more book read, because I think I can maybe knock out one more book before I have to start like editing this and get it up for the end of the month. So right now, I didn't make a lick of progress because I got a book in the mail. So there are still 108 books on this shelf. So let me ask Alexa to pick me a new book. Alexa, can you pick me a number between 1 and 108?
That's not answering the question. Here's a number between 1 and 108. It's 106.
106. Damn, okay. Let me grab that and see what it is. Alright, so 106 is a newer book on the shelf, which isn't one I'm super looking forward to reading because it's kind of chunky and I've never heard of it. Unleashing Chaos, but luckily this says 4 books back. So let me go 4 more books back and see what that book is. If you've seen my vlog I did where my cat picked what I read, this book made an appearance, and that ended up being Secrets of the Stars by Maria Kuzner. And this tag says read this book. So I have been putting off reading this last book in this duology of this middle grade seafaring adventure. So now's the time, I guess. I'm going to read this and finally get it off my shelf. Let's hope that I enjoy this one as much as I loved the first book in this duology, because the first book in this I think I gave like 4.5 or 5 stars. So this will probably be the last book that I read for this Read or Reap episode. So no update on Secret of the Stars because I've already finished this book. It was a really quick middle grade, and I don't know why I kept putting it off for months and months and months, because once I sat down and read this, I just read it all the way through. So in this, it is a continuation of the first book, but we are following Aaliyah, who is this 12-year-old girl. She is part of this all-female pirate ship crew, and they are sailing around the world trying to find these missing map pieces. This map was torn into 4 pieces, and they were all scattered around. And once they put this map together, it will lead them to a treasure. So that's the whole plot of this story. And I really liked this one. I gave it 5 stars. So this is a supremely unprecedented episode of Read or Reap because I have liked all of the books that I've read. I've finished all of the books I've read, and I'm keeping all of the books I read in this episode. But this was just a really fun seafaring adventure. It's great for middle graders and up, especially young girls who are readers who want to go on adventures and things like that. You sort of have to suspend your disbelief. Me as an adult, I was like, really? Your parents are just letting you go off and be part of a pirate ship? Okay. But it was a fun time. It has like these shadows on the ship. That's why it's called the Ship of Shadows, that like give it magical abilities. And Aaliyah has sort of like this pet sidekick named Tinto who can shapeshift into different animals in his shadow form. And they just go on adventures all around, mostly in like the Middle East and Asia within this book. They're sailing around the world. So this was a great addition to this series, maybe. I don't know if it's going to be a series. I haven't heard anything of it. I don't feel like this left off on a good place for it to be just a duology, because I feel like they need to find the other pieces of the map. So I'm thinking the author plans to continue with this middle grade series, but I haven't heard of anything. As of right now, I'm caught up with this series. So yay me, I got this off my shelf. So as a recap, I read Lost, Found, and Forever. I gave this 4 stars. I do plan on keeping this for a while anyway. I may change my mind in the future, but for right now, I really liked this, so I'm going to keep it. I then read The Silent Sun by Alexis L. Menard. I gave this 5 stars. Definitely keeping this. I love this fantasy romance duology. I then read The Somber Prince by Marina Simcoe. I gave this one 4 stars as well, and I will be keeping this for now, again, at least. And I read Secrets of the Stars, and I gave it 5 stars, so I will be keeping this. And aside from those books, I also got a couple more books off of my shelf that weren't part of this episode. So I read Reincarnation Blues, which I gave 3.5 stars. This was in my vlog I did where my cat picks what books I read, so I will link that down in the description if you haven't checked that vlog out yet. But I will be reaping this from my collection. I also read Time Cat in that same vlog, and I gave this like 3 stars, which I will be reaping from my collection as well. And then just for the fun of it, I read The Geographer's Map to Romance by India Holton, which was one of my most anticipated reads of this year. Sadly, I will be reaping this from my collection, and you will hear my thoughts on that and more in my wrap-up. So stick around for that at the end of the month. But that is a visual representation of all the books that I got off of my shelf this episode. And most of them were physical reads. So with that, we are going to end this episode with 107 books on the shelf. So I did actually make a little bit of progress, not a lot. I think at the end of episode 4, we had 110, and I did add about 3 books, but we're at 107 now. So that is where I think maybe we will start episode 6 of Read or Reap with, is 107. I might get another book read before the month ends, but I'm not like banking on it. So 107 books as of now. Let me know down in the comments, are you liking these Read or Reap episodes? Should I continue on with it to try and clear off my TBR shelf? Let me know, because I don't want to like keep doing these if like y'all don't care to watch them. I mean, it's great motivation for me to clear off my TBR shelf, but I want to make sure like somebody cares that I'm making these videos. But if you don't want to comment that, but would like to let me know you made it to the end of this episode, could you leave me a wolf emoji for the silent sun for reasons. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, good luck on your June TBR. We're in June already, everybody. So I will see you then. Bye.